Every language has words that are difficult, if not impossible, to translate directly into another language, and Italian is no exception. These words often capture complex emotions, cultural practices, or specific social phenomena that are unique to that culture. So let's explore some of them together so you can get a deeper feeling of the Italian culture and language. I'm Valentina Stella, native Italian teacher, and today I'm going to share with you 10 untranslatable Italian words. But the way I'm going to do this is that I'm going to state the word and an example sentence first. So if you want, you can challenge yourself and try to grasp their meaning by seeing them in context first. And then I'm going to explain all the nuances of those words. So let's begin. Iniziamo. The first word is addirittura. Addirittura. Let me show you an example sentence. Addirittura lui ha mangiato 6 pezzi di pizza. Addirittura lui ha mangiato 6 pezzi di pizza. Can you guess what addirittura means from the context? I'll give you a few seconds. Allora, in English, some people might translate addirittura as actually or indeed or even, but none of those really gives you the idea of what addirittura means. Addirittura is an Italian adverb that we use to emphasize a surprising reaction to an extreme situation. So in this instance, we have a sentence that means in English, actually he ate 6 pieces of pizza, 6 slices of pizza. Well, if someone says something like that, even to an Italian, that's a lot of pizza. So it's not that we're just saying in realtà, which would be actually. We're saying addirittura. So it's like actually, indeed, wow, that's a lot. Addirittura is an expression that highlights the surprise in our reaction. So remember, addirittura when you want to say, wow, that's a lot. Our second word is contrattempo. Let me spell it. Contrattempo. I'm going to give you another sentence. Allora, il mio viaggio è stato ritardato a causa di un contrattempo in aeroporto. Il mio viaggio è stato ritardato a causa di un contrattempo in aeroporto. Can you guess what contrattempo means? Contrattempo is usually translated in English as setback. So this sentence would probably translate to English as my trip has been delayed because of a setback in the airport. Now, although this is the closest translation you can get in English for this word, contrattempo has a little bit more deepness and nuances to it. Contrattempo literally means against time. Contra, against, and tempo, time. So contrattempo is anything that goes against your time or your plans for your time. So you can use this anytime you had a setback or something that changed your plans, forced you to change your plans. And it's much used in Italian when you need to tell someone why you were late, for example. Oh, mi dispiace, ho avuto un contrattempo. I'm sorry, I had a setback. I had something that went against my time. Our third word is probably something that you have already heard, which is simpatico. Simpatico. Now, you probably have already heard about this word. I'm still going to give you an example sentence. I want you to guess what that means, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a surprise for you, even if you know it. So let's see an example sentence. Maria è una persona molto simpatica. Tutti le vogliono bene. Maria è una persona molto simpatica. Tutti le vogliono bene. Cosa significa simpatico? What does simpatico mean? Probably you have guessed yes, Maria is simpatica. Maria is simpatica. You have guessed that simpatico means nice. And although I know that Italian dictionaries from English to Italian translate this as nice, this is not completely accurate and doesn't give you the real understanding of what this word means. This word comes much more in meaning. Simpatico is an adjective that in Italian we don't use to say that someone is just nice. It means that someone is more than nice, is nice, pleasant, very friendly, very likable, very affable, and has a quality of cheerfulness to them. So someone can be nice as in gentile, that means kind. They are nice, they behave nicely, they're kind, and that's a very good quality. But if someone is simpatico, that means that they really put you in a good mood, that they are very friendly and that they are very cheerful, and they probably put a smile on your face. So simpatico is a wonderful adjective to describe a person. If someone tells you that say simpatico, that's a huge compliment for us Italian people. So this in English means Maria is a very nice person. Everyone loves her. But in reality, it's much deeper than that. Parola numero 4. And this is one of my favorite words. And that is villeggiatura. Let me write this for you. Villeggiatura. Okay, this is hard to guess. But if you want to try yourself at this, let's try it. Let's see an example sentence. Ogni estate la nostra famiglia va in villeggiatura al mare per rilassarsi. Ok, ogni estate la nostra famiglia va in villeggiatura al mare per rilassarsi. Cosa significa villeggiatura? You probably have guessed that villeggiatura has something to do with vacation. But we have another word for that, which is vacanza. Vacanza means vacation. So what does villeggiatura mean? Villeggiatura is a word that we still use nowadays in Italy. Probably we're not using that as much as in the past. And is a word that refers specifically to a period of vacation or a holiday that is spent in a rural or coastal area. So at the beach, or for example in the mountains or in the countryside, and typically during the summer. It's an old Italian term that's used to describe a kind of a summer retreat in a more calm and very relaxing area. So the sentence ogni estate la nostra famiglia va in villeggiatura al mare per rilassarsi means every summer our family goes on a summer retreat to the beach to relax. Parola numero 5. And yes, I have to correct myself. This is probably my favorite one, which is 𝗏. Now, 𝗏 is not a real word, so the way we spell it is just to try to make the sound. So we spell it conventionally like this, 𝗏. But with 𝗏, it's not only important the sound, but it's important the movement of your shoulders. 𝗏. And this is probably a hint of its meaning. But let me still give you an example sentence. Quando torna Mario da Milano? Non mi ha detto niente. Quando torna Mario da Milano? Non mi ha detto niente. What does that mean? You probably guessed correctly. 𝗏 is a word that's not really a word. That means, I don't know. But really, what's very important with this is gesture. Not only you say 𝗏, but you do this with your shoulders and maybe your hands. 𝗏. So this sentence means, when does Mario come back from Milan? I don't know. He didn't tell me anything. But is it much more cool if you do 𝗏? I think it's cool. I think it's funny, actually. Okay, another great word. I love all of them, to be honest. These are words that are really difficult to translate, but also very funny if you think about them. I think we use them without realizing how funny they can be if you look at them from a different perspective. So I hope I'm really helping you see them through our eyes today. And this word, la sesta parola, the sixth word is abbiocco. Abbiocco. Now, as any word with double consonants, you need to make sure that you pronounce them. So, abbiocco. Let's see an example sentence. Dopo il pranzo... Cos'è quello? What's that? Il pranzo di Natale ho sempre l'abbiocco. Dopo il pranzo di Natale ho sempre l'abbiocco. Cosa significa abbiocco? Abbiocco is an expression that we use to express that feeling, that sleepy feeling that you get after a big meal. So this is the typical feeling that we have after Christmas lunch or after cenone di Capodanno, the New Year's Eve dinner, or after a Sunday lunch with family and friends. Usually that's really a good hearty lunch in Italy. So how would you translate this in English? Probably would say after Christmas lunch, I always feel drowsy. But we have a name for that feeling, and that feeling is abbiocco. So remember, if you feel a little bit sleepy after lunch, you're experiencing abbiocco. Parola numero 7. Gattara. Gattara. Now, this will probably be one of the easiest to guess, but it's still an amusing Italian word that I want to share with you. So let me give you an example. La signora Marta è la gattara del quartiere. Tutti i gatti randagi la adorano. La signora Marta è la gattara del quartiere. Tutti i gatti randagi la adorano. Cosa significa gattara? You probably guessed correctly. Gattara means cat lady. And so this has a translation to English, but I wanted to highlight how we made a special word for this. So we don't say signora dei gatti. That feels like a little bit weird and a little bit like the Lord of the Ring, la signora dei gatti. That's not something we would really say. Instead, we made up one special word for these wonderful old ladies who take care of stray cats. La gattara. So this sentence in English would be Mrs. Marta is the cat lady of the neighborhood. All stray cats love her. Another very interesting and funny word, which is Pantofolaio. Pantofolaio. This is a little bit tricky. Let me give you an example. Marco è un vero pantofolaio. Preferisce, non riesco a scrivere, I cannot type. Preferisce stare a casa invece di uscire con gli amici. Ok. Marco è un vero pantofolaio. Preferisce stare a casa invece di uscire con gli amici. Cosa significa pantofolaio? So, pantofolaio is a word that comes from the Italian pantofole, which is the Italian word for slippers. Pantofolaio is someone who spend a lot of time in their slippers because they don't leave their home very much. They like to stay at home. So in English, you could probably say that Pantofolaio means homebody, but I wanted to point out how we made up this word from the habit of staying in your slippers instead of putting on shoes and getting outside. So the sentence Marco è un vero pantofolaio, preferisce stare a casa invece di uscire con gli amici, would translate to English to Marco is a very homebody. He prefers to stay at home instead of getting out with his friends. Ok, parola numero 9. We're almost done with the top 10 untranslatable words in Italian. And this word has a very funny sound, and the word is rocambolesco. Now, this is a mouthful. Rocambolesco. Let me show you how we spell that. Rocambolesco. This is a very interesting and fascinating word and has an interesting history, actually. I'm going to share that with you in a moment, but let me give you an example first. La rocambolesca fuga del ladro è finita quando i poliziotti lo hanno fermato al confine. La rocambolesca fuga del ladro è finita quando i poliziotti lo hanno fermato al confine. Ok, the word rocambolesca is actually a word that comes from French. It's a word that was created in the 1800s and derives from the character of a French adventure novel that got himself into a lot of trouble. So rocambolesco describes something that's extraordinarily adventurous, complicated, and unlikely. Sometimes it's translated to exciting or adventurous, but that's not necessarily so because it's an action that usually it refers to an action that's difficult and risky, and it's carried out in a very daring and cunning way. So that's what rocambolesco means. And in English, I would probably translate this as the thief's incredible escape was ended when the policeman stopped him at the border. So see, I cannot translate all these nuances with just incredible. This has a little bit more of a meaning and flavor to it. And finally, parola numero 10. And this not only is hard to translate, but it's actually very funny. And if you know a little bit of Italian, and especially if you know bad words in Italian, this may sound like a bad word, but I swear I'm not saying a bad word. This is a perfectly fine Italian word. And this is culaccino. Culaccino. Let me give you an example sentence. Non dimenticare il sottobicchiere. Non voglio un culaccino sul tavolo. Non dimenticare il sottobicchiere. Non voglio un culaccino sul tavolo. Cosa significa? I actually realized we have a bonus word probably here because even sottobicchiere, well, it does have a specific translation in English, but it's a very weird looking word. So let's talk about for one moment about sottobicchiere, so I give you a little bit of a help. Sottobicchiere literally means under the glass. So it's something that we use to protect a surface from a glass that contains a liquid. So in English, you would call that a coaster. That's all I can tell you. Do you want to try to figure that out again? Go. So culaccino is the specific word that we use for that rim of wetness that forms around a glass when it's filled with something very cold. We have a word for that, I know. So this sentence means, don't forget the coaster. I don't want a wet mark on the table from the glass that's cold. That's what it means. Ok ragazzi, that's all for today. We learned 10 untranslatable Italian words that I hope were also funny and that you can use to enrich your vocabulary. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. A presto! Ciao da Valentina!